This is as far as I can go. If you're new here, my name is Aletha. I am your new K-pop bestie. I just decided that, and you don't get to choose. Every so often, I sit in my car and I decide to talk about K-pop for like an hour, but that gets cut down to about 20 to 30 minutes, and that is this K-pop podcast. Also, every podcast I drink a fun little drink, and today I'm drinking this. It's like a lemon winter melon so close. Tea. Let me back up. And it's not that good, but I'll keep drinking it. Now, normally in these podcasts, I like to take a little bit of time to talk about different things, but I have an agenda today, and I'm actually taking this topic very seriously, and that topic is how to afford K-pop. Now, I've been a K-pop stan for 5 years maybe, and all throughout college, I attended concerts, I bought albums, I did the whole thing. I'm breaking up this video into multiple parts. The first part, I'm going to talk about the mindset you need to be a K-pop stan, which sounds ridiculous, but it's definitely helpful, and I'm going to keep referring back to it multiple times. So I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to give tips on concerts specifically and attending tours, because I feel like that's where I get the most questions, is when I post that I'm at a concert, everyone swipes up and is like, girl, how are you doing this? And I have a lot of tips for how I did it. So I'm going to share that. And then I'm also going to talk about affording K-pop as a hobby, like everything besides concerts. So albums, comebacks, all of that fun stuff. My credentials, first of all, as I said, I went to college. I was a K-pop stan. The main groups I followed was TXT and then Hypen, but I also dabble in other groups. So 17 now I'm super into. Stray Kids, I've been to their concerts. lsfm, I've been to their concert. I have been to 10 K-pop concerts in my time. I saw TXT 4 times, maybe 5 times now. I saw Hypen once. I saw Stray Kids twice, and I've seen lsfm once and 17 once. All of those are within the past 4 years, and all of those, the concert ticket I paid for. If I went with my sister, I would partially pay for hers too. And so yeah, those are my credentials. I would say that I have decent amount of experience as a K-pop stan. Collecting albums too. I always buy albums for comebacks. I don't know how many albums I have. Maybe like 30. First topic, as I said, we're going to talk about the mindset that you need when you are a K-pop stan. Now, the reason why I think this is so important is because I think it's so easy to fall into the trap of feeling like you need everything when you're in K-pop. Like you need every single album in every single version, and you need to collect every single photo card from that album and repeat that for every single group that you are into. But realistically, you don't need to stan every group. I don't think it's even possible to do so. I don't know how people do it. But for me, I know that I ult TXT, they're my faves, and then I also follow the others. So in Hypen, Stray Kids, 17, like they all fall under that umbrella. But my priority will always be TXT. So when it comes to buying albums, going to concerts, all of that stuff, I already have this mindset where I'm going to prioritize TXT. It's not that I don't love the others as much, but it's just that if I'm only going to be able to go to one concert, I'm going to go to TXT. And it's always been that way for me. Sit down and really think about like what groups you're following and how much energy and funds you have to spend on these groups, because you don't need to stan every group. And having an ult like that, or 1 to 2 groups that you are willing to spend money on, is, I think, the best way to approach spending money on K-pop. Because if you select those 2 groups, like me, it's TXT, right? I'm spending money on TXT. I'm going to go to their concert every single year. I know that, so I feel less inclined to spend it on these other groups where I might not necessarily be able to afford spending that much money on them. So having that mindset and understanding that you're still a K-pop stan even if you don't buy everything from every single person that releases something. That's number 1. Number 2, understanding that comparison is a thief of joy, especially in K-pop. Oh my gosh, especially with social media and everyone posting their concert videos, their polls, their album unboxing. Comparison is a thief of joy, people. You do not have to be comparing yourself to other K-pop stans and looking at their collections and thinking, oh my gosh, I wish that was me. Am I guilty of doing this? Yes, but I try and stop myself now. Now that I've recognized it, I do try to stop myself. I'm going to talk about this more later when we talk about concerts, so I'll come back to it. But do not compare yourself to other people. You are just as much a fan as another person who has bought 500 albums. Your worth as a fan is not completely determined by how much you spend on that group, or determined at all by how much you spend on that group. With this, remember that K-pop is not everything, right? It's not worth going in debt for. No concert, no experience, no pre-order benefit, anything like that is worth going in debt for, because that's you putting your future in the line for K-pop. Which sounds crazy because it's like, oh, duh, obviously, like, don't spend thousands of dollars you don't have on a concert to get front row, right? But it happens. Like, it's genuinely a trap that you fall into, and I swear the companies, like, play by that. So recognizing that that trap is there, you need to stay far away from it. That's something that I've had to do, and it's helped me in the long run, right? Because I am more happy with what I have and what I'm able to go to, and I feel less guilty when I go to these things. And yeah, that's the mindset that you really need. You are a fan. You are not a financial investor. The money that you spend on these concerts and experiences and albums, you are likely never going to see that money again once you spend it, because it's not an investment, you know what I mean? Unless you resell something, but don't be a scalper. Okay, now that the mindset stuff is covered, we're going to talk about my tips for K-pop concerts. Number one tip, I'm a spreadsheet girl through and through, and I always create a spreadsheet. I already created one actually for next year's TXT tour, because I am assuming that they are going on tour next year, because they've gone on tour every single year since 2022, 2021, I don't remember. So I have this spreadsheet that I make for every single tour that I plan on going to. And I do this every time I know a tour is coming up, but I do try to do it as early as possible, or as in advance as possible. So even now, no tour for TXT has been announced for 2026, but I already made the spreadsheet just in case. And in the spreadsheet, which you see on the screen, I have different categories of things I'm going to spend money on. The maximum cost, that's important, because it's always a range when you're predicting these things of, oh, my flight could cost $150 or $250, but I'm always going to put the number on the high end, because I'd rather have too much money than not enough money. That's important. And then I do a little section for notes where I just write whatever. So for TXT 2026 in hopefully LA, I would have to pay for a flight, a hotel, the concert ticket, merch, freebies I always make, my outfit, food, transportation, and I always leave a miscellaneous area. It doesn't hurt to save even more money, just in case. You never know what will happen. You can see my estimates there. A lot of them are kind of high. My concert ticket, okay, this is the highest expense on my spreadsheet, because as we know, in the past, hype groups will do send-off, and send-off will cost roughly around $900. I've paid $900 in the past, and that was face value. When you're making your own spreadsheet, just consider how much your ticket would probably cost before you put the number there. Why did I say it like that? Whoa. For reference, I'm going to do my best guess estimate right now, and if I'm wrong, then please comment what you think the price ranges would be for each of these tickets. I would say Tier 1 VIP, if it comes with send-off, $800 to $900. Tier 2, which does not come with send-off, but you get sound check, I paid $450 for this past year seeing TXT. So I would say $400 to $500. And then anything in the lower bowl, I would put high 100s to mid $200. The 100 section, I would say $150 to $200. 200s would be like $100. 300s less than $100. Is that correct, guys? If you know better, please comment it. But that's just my guess. Anyways, this is what I do is I make the spreadsheet and I will sum up all of the costs. And as you can see, the amount I need to save is $1,920. Gulp. So basically $2,000 for this one tour. Is that incredibly expensive? Yes. Is that incredibly realistic? Maybe. It might be a little bit too much money to save. Is it going to save me from going on this trip and not having money? Yes. I will be prepared. So that's how I always do it. I am definitely someone who likes to over prepare than under prepare. That's just what I would recommend. I use this as a benchmark for kind of my entire year. So when I'm buying albums for every TXT comeback or any comeback in general, I'm like, okay, how many albums do I really need to buy, considering the fact that I'm also going to go on their tour? And when you do a spreadsheet like this and you see the grand total of $2,000, suddenly I want to go to concerts a lot less. When I was in college, I went to 1 to 2 a year. I would only fly to 1 because the flight does add up. It helps you limit things and it helps you understand what's realistic for where you are at this point in your life. With this being said, I want to remind you what I said earlier. Comparison is the thief of joy. I'm going to get into a little rant here. I hate how social media has painted out K-pop as a hobby to be like, oh, my neighbor's here. To be like, oh, if I have VIP 1, I'm a bigger fan than you in the 200 section. Like, Subin looked at me, so he knows that I'm a bigger fan than you. I hate that because that just forces you to compare yourself to all of these people who have VIP 1 somehow for every single stop on the tour. I don't know how people are doing it, especially when I see people who are my age. Like, I need to get on whatever they're on. But until I figure that out, I'm going to limit myself. So that's just a pet peeve of mine. Do not fall into the trap or propaganda of a 3-second video of someone's interaction of beomgyu, Subin, Yeonjun looking at them and then compare your entire concert experience to those 3 seconds, because you have no idea what the remaining 3 hours of their concert looked like. And from my experience being on floor, I've never done GA, and I bet GA is 5,000 times worse. But being floor in seats, a lot of times you can't even see them. You can't even see them because someone's holding up a sign covering you, and they're either on the other side of the stage or they're all the way in the center stage in the far back, and you can barely see them. And you can't get a good view of the screen either because the girl in front of you is wearing a headband. Don't compare your experience. Just have fun with where you are. Any seat in that stadium is a good seat. Yeah, that's my rant. Now, that being said, I have told you that my concert would cost $2,000. And, well, I need to tell you how you would make that $2,000. When I was in college, I almost always was working. If I wasn't in class, I was working. I worked 2 jobs. I had my job at the boba shop where I would work and make barely any money. And then I had my job at school, at my university, where I would work at the front desk, making barely any money. But both of those, regardless of how much money I made, I was making money. And it added up to the point where I could start to afford these concert tickets, even if they weren't like top of the line front row seats. I was able to go. Any job that you can get, I would encourage you to get it. I also think it's good to start working when you're in college because it taught me how to prioritize my time and taught me all these adult lessons. Definitely get a job. I don't know how to say this, but if you want to afford K-pop, you definitely need a source of income. So anything that you can think of or like do, if you want to start your own small business, you can do anything. And I'm also going to be completely honest with you. I had a lot of help when I was in college. I was in a very unique situation where my tuition, I didn't have any. It was free. I didn't pay for college. I stayed at home because I grew up in the city that my big state college was in, and I just went from home, so I didn't pay rent any of the 4 years. I didn't pay tuition, and I worked. So I was actually living very lavishly because I was working and I didn't have to pay for anything, and that is what enabled my K-pop concert activities. On top of this, I had a scholarship at my college. Any money I didn't spend on classes, they would just send it to me in the form of a check. And because my tuition was free, I never spent that money on classes, so I would just get like those checks in the mail. And I'm not advising this, but I did use those checks on K-pop concerts. I did. And I admit it, but that's just me being real. And I want to tell you guys because I don't want to sit here and be like, work a minimum wage job and then sit first row at the TXT concert and spend $900, because that's not realistic. Like, that's so much money. That's me being transparent about how I was able to afford it and also giving tips on how you could also afford it too. Now, that being said, I mentioned earlier that I was also going to talk about affording K-pop as a hobby, because K-pop is so much more than concerts, even though that's all you see online. Like, there's so many different ways to enjoy it, and I think that is the beauty of K-pop as a hobby or being a K-pop stan. You can collect photo cards. You can journal. I've seen people make journaling pages for every single comeback, and I think that's beautiful and such a cool way to enjoy K-pop. You can watch shows, variety shows, music videos, anything online. There's so many things on YouTube. And honestly, fashion. You can dress in ways that are inspired by idols. And I'm saying this as if I like don't know, but this is literally what I do. I think that fashion is definitely a way to enjoy K-pop, because I literally would not be wearing this cat beanie if I wasn't a K-pop stan, because I would think that this cat beanie is weird, but here I am sitting here thinking it's so cute and I love it. That is the beauty of K-pop, being able to enjoy it and not have to spend money on it. YouTube, if you have a phone and Wi-Fi, is completely free. There are so many episodes of Going 17 and To Do that I love watching, and I just keep watching them, and every single time it's virtually $0, so it's great. So remind yourself that you don't need everything. You don't need a concert ticket. You don't need the album. All you need is something that makes you happy. I'm gonna talk about this again. I'm so sorry, but again, falling into the trap of feeling like you need to buy everything. I think it has to do with like the parasocial relationships involved in K-pop, where if I buy the clothes that my idol's wearing or the collaboration that my idol released, I somehow feel like I'm closer to them. In my head, that kind of makes sense, but don't fall into that trap, or try to prevent yourself from falling into that trap and really think about your purchase before you make it. And I'm saying this as someone who owns the beomgyu Marshall headphones and bought them solely because he was wearing them. I think I've grown. I think I've grown from the person I was before, and I think I'm a better person now. Know that just because you can't partake in one of the avenues of K-pop, that doesn't make you any less of a fan. You're still a fan. You're still cool. Because let me tell you, there are definitely a lot of people pulling up to these concerts, every single concert, who are not enjoying it as much because they are way too worried about getting an interaction than you think or than you see or that you hear of. Like, I have met so many people at concerts where I'll talk to them and they're like, oh, I just want Subin to look at me. Girl, What? You just want Subin to look at you? I just want them to play Nap of a Star. It is mind-boggling, and those people are not having fun at the concert unless they're getting looked at. Don't become that. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Actually, hot take, I think that there is something wrong with that. That opinion hasn't completely formed in my brain yet, but it's definitely a developing opinion. Moving on. This is my last page of notes. Oh, this is a good thing that I wrote. I didn't even remember I wrote this. Remember that you don't always have to be a consumer in K-pop. You can also be a creator. What do I mean by that? I think we're so hung up on this idea of I need to buy this, I need to watch this, I need to buy that. We forget that we can also partake in creating fun stuff that are inspired by these K-pop idols. Videos, I'm making this video right now. I make short form videos on Instagram. People create journaling pages like I mentioned earlier. People draw. My friend Sarah, actually she's British, so it's Sarah. She draws these incredible photos of enhypen, not photos, drawings of enhypen, and they look so good. And when she was at the concert, she got to show all the members the drawings that she made of them, and that's her way of enjoying K-pop, which I think is so beautiful. So finding unique, different ways to enjoy K-pop that complement your own lifestyle and kind of fit into what you like doing outside of K-pop is such a great way to be a K-pop stan. Now, that being said, I think it's also incredibly important to have hobbies outside of K-pop. When you only have K-pop as your hobby, that's when it becomes easy to spend all your money on it because, again, you think that K-pop is everything. Just reminding yourself that it's not everything by partaking in other things in your life, like, I don't know, play basketball, go on walks, drink matcha, crochet, go climbing. There's so many different things that you need in your life to bring you happiness. How else can I explain this? If you only have one source of happiness, you're gonna put everything that you have into that. And when it doesn't give you the fulfillment that you want from it, you're gonna feel empty and feel like you need to spend even more than you already are. Versus if you have multiple sources of happiness, and let's say one of your hobbies is less expensive. Oh, you can just spend more time on that one and then spend a little bit of money on K-pop. And you're going to be so incredibly happy because both of them make you a joyful person. You get fulfillment from both of them. So my point is there are so many different ways to enjoy K-pop, and there's so many other hobbies out there other than K-pop to enjoy. Finding the balance between those two things is what is going to help you afford K-pop. And that's the theme of today's video. Affording K-pop is not how do I say this? I don't know. Affording K-pop is a mindset. And I stand by that because there is no way you will be able to buy every single thing that exists in the K-pop industry. There are just so many groups, so many albums, so many things being released at different times where it's impossible to own everything. So understanding that is the key to affording K-pop. I already said my university story earlier. I want to talk a little bit about how I'm affording K-pop these days. I do work. I do have a job. I also have different hobbies that I partake in, like I mentioned before. I crochet. So I made this hat. I climb. I go rock climbing. I bake. And I do nails. These are my nails right now. So having all of those hobbies definitely helps me feel fulfilled in life. And I've found so much joy in watching Going 17, like I was talking about, and To Do episodes where I don't really feel the need to buy everything that they release because I already see them. I see them every single day and I'm watching so much of their content. I don't feel the need to consume anymore. That has so far worked super duper well for me. I also obviously do social media. So I do make some money from social media and I sell press-on nails, which by the way, if you're looking for concert nails, I sell press-ons. These are not press-ons because again, I go climbing, so I can't wear press-ons, but I make custom press-ons. I'll put photos of them here at Nailed by Leith, and I sell them for $45 a set. But I'm all booked until February. So if you want a rush order, those are $60, which I know is expensive. I'm sorry. I spend like 4 hours making them. So I'm trying to find the sweet spot of the selling point for these. I've settled on $45 for booked slots through my calendar and $60 for rush orders. Shipping is free if you're within the US. But I love doing that. And it's one of my favorite hobbies. Oh my goodness, I'm switching my position. I think those are most of my tips on how to afford K-pop. If you have any tips yourself, please leave them down below. I definitely want to hear them, and I'm sure other people want to hear them too. Now that we've talked about how to afford K-pop, I'm just going to talk about my life and kind of everything that's happening. Because again, this is a podcast. So besides doing nails and rock climbing, honestly nothing. I just want to talk about the Stray Kids comeback and Yeonjun's comeback because I thought they were crazy. Stray Kids released Do It. I watched the music video. Oh my gosh, they look so good. And the song is so good. Yeonjun looks so good in the music video. Oh my goodness. Hashtag need that. Genuinely, he looks insane. I don't think that he is real. And I need to listen to the rest of the album because my sister was texting me and telling me that Divine is really good and Photo Strip, Photo Booth, Photo Something is also really good. So I need to listen to it, but I always love Stray Kids songs. And then Yeonjun's come back. I actually have his album. Speaking of not buying every single album, I have one version. Oh, whoa, I'm blurry. I have one of his albums. I got set B because I didn't want to buy every single version because that would not be smart of me. I love his entire release. Hello, the song with Daniela was insane. I can't believe they did that. I love that this is something that can happen nowadays in K-pop, because if this happened 5 years ago, the world would be on fire. It would be on fire and people would be yelling and Twitter would be a safety hazard. But nowadays it's okay. Like, this is accepted now. And I love that. And it's also normal for Yeonjun to be shirtless, which I will never get used to, but I'm not complaining. I say this every time. I'm gonna bring these podcasts back. I'm gonna bring them back, and I'm gonna be very careful with my wording here. I'm gonna make a video at least every month where I'm sitting here and talking, because I genuinely do love sitting here and talking. It's just the editing portion that takes me so long, but I just love it. I feel like people who watch these podcasts are the closest to me, versus I feel super close to everyone on Instagram, obviously. I feel a little bit distant with everyone on TikTok because I don't post there as much. People on YouTube really get to see me, because you guys get to see me for longer than a minute at a time. Like, you're really seeing me in the flesh. So I am going to try my best to post more. Until then, I'm going to peace out of here. And I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope it was helpful. If you have any tips I didn't mention in this video, please leave them in the comment section. And yeah, thanks for watching.